The next step is to make the neckline template. For this you would need some paper about 10 to 11 inches wide and 10 inches lengthwise. Fold it through the middle and I will show you how to make the neck template. Here I've got some iron-on interfacing with the piece of cloth. It's approximately the same size we used for the neck template in width and in length. It's best to keep a towel underneath and a towel on top so it doesn't stick to your iron, but I will just use a paper towel so that you can see. And it's stuck on. Now I will fold this inside out in half and iron once again. Now I'm going to use the template we made and I will pin it on . The next step is we have the neckline here, the template. Some people can they can hem this. They have the experience. Otherwise, the best thing to do is just turn this in with the machine and then you can hem it later. I'll show you later on what the next step is. Now you take your shirt, the front part, make sure it's the right way up and not inside out, and on the right side you now take your cutout pattern template, you place it on there. I ironed the shirt so you can align the middle of the template with the shirt and then you pin it all together. Now I've stitched the outer hem off my neck template. I am going to cut the inner side, but I'm not going to cut on the actual line. I'm going to cut a little bit inside . Now you take your shirt, the front part, make sure it's the right way up and not inside out, and on the right side you now take your cutout pattern template, you place it on there. I ironed the shirt so you can align the middle of the template with the shirt and then you pin it all together. Now as you can see that I've pinned the pattern, this is sort of silky type material, that's why it's moving about all over the place. As you can see, this I left a little bit of seam allowance inside, but this point here is aligned exactly on the end, you know, the inner line. Remember we drew the box of the neck template, so again this is aligned with the edge, and you stitch along the seam line which I have drawn on this, not right on the outer edge. So that's the next step I will show you. As you are stitching, you can slowly take out the pins at the same time. Now we're going to sew the neckline template, and I'll show you with this step you have to slowly move the needle around. I'll show you as we go around. So the first thing is to set the needle in place, put the presser foot down and slowly sew along the line, moving your fabric gently, not by force at the same time, because this is a curve. Now when we get to the curve, as you can see, I make sure that the pins are at a distance, but when we get to the curve I'm moving my machine very slowly and allowing the material to move slowly as well, because if we lift the needle then the round neckline may accidentally become a little bit pointed. But as you can see here, we're slowly just moving the fabric along and stitching very slowly. And let's see how it's come out. And as you can see, it's sewn, I've been able to sew a smooth curve. So the main thing is to remember not to rush this, but to do it slowly. Now I'm just going to go over it again with another top stitch. Now you can see I have stitched all along the neckline. I've left a little bit of seam allowance. Just to double check, you can see even on the back, I'm not sure if you can see in the film, but that it's a nice smooth round curve. It's all even with the shoulders as well. But the next step would be to take out the pins. And remember, this should be, the interfacing should be inside out, like you can see, but this side, the side you've stitched it on, should be the front of your shirt on the right side. Now we're going to cut this out. Now that I've cut the inside, the next step is to make little snippets all along this side, because if you have a look at the moment when you turn, it's quite bumpy. That making the little snippets helps it to turn easily. So if you watch now, I will do this. I'm going to lift it slightly. Make sure you don't snip the seam allowance. They should be tiny snips like this. If you don't have a small scissors like this, it's okay, because you can use a normal scissors. I'll show you, but please be very careful not to cut along the seam allowance. So just tiny snippets, and make sure you're not snipping your shirt at the same time. And you do this all the way round. As you can see, I'm checking that I'm not getting my shirt in. Best thing is to lay it on a flat table when you're doing this. Now we're going to turn this around and iron along the seam all the way around. Off the neckline template. Then when we come here, we turn it this way, but make sure it's not overlapping too much, and iron it again, smoothing out the seam line as you go along. I've hemmed at the back, removed the pins, and this is the neckline complete. And as you can see, it's a neat finish because we've ironed it and pinned it. And the next step would be to join the shoulders.